What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and there's been so much going on with news this week in gaming. We had the Xbox news that I haven't even talked about on this channel yet, but one thing I needed to talk about that I saw today was we got the August numbers for PlayStation Network and the most downloaded games, and Ghost of Tsushima is still shocking people, quietly selling incredibly well. I want to take a look at that and make another comparison to another game, or at least a month before that for PlayStation 4, that was very divisive. I think you might have heard of it, The Last of Us Part 2, and why I think that over time, Ghost of Tsushima will outsell this game when you look at these numbers. Now take a look at this article. PlayStation Store sales charts. Fall Guys can't top Madden 21, but it's a knockout in Europe. And Madden 21 and Fall Guys, we'll talk about that a little bit. But the main thing is the one that performed just a little below those. And that is, of course, Ghost of Tsushima. Look at these charts right here. And let me blow this up, make it a little bigger for you here. That's what she said. Here it is. So, Madden 21, right? Madden 21, which we've talked about on this channel, an absolute train wreck. The fans hate this, but of course it's a big franchise. It's going to sell a lot of games on the release month, and it did do just that. Madden 21. These are the most downloaded games across the PlayStation Store. That's what these numbers are. US, Madden 21, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Ghost of Tsushima, followed by Fall Guys. Keep in mind, this is the second month of release for Ghost of Tsushima. We're going to compare it to what The Last of Us Part 2 did in its second month, and spoiler alert, Ghost of Tsushima is performing much better against the same games. In fact, the same games that have been out for a long time. Right under that, you have Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Fall Guys, this game that has taken the world by storm apparently, was still not downloaded as much as Ghost of Tsushima over the past month of August. That is insane. Insane what Ghost of Tsushima continues to do. Now, when you look in the European Union, over in Europe, you have Fall Guys, then Call of Duty, then Minecraft, then Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is fourth in Europe. Stark contrast to what we saw for The Last of Us Part 2. Look at what we have for The Last of Us Part 2 in its second month of release, the month of July. Of course, Ghost of Tsushima knocked out that #1 spot. Last of Us 2 fell all the way to 5th, right? All the way to 5th with no other big releases. There was no Madden 21 to go up there and beat it. There was no UFC 4 that could have gone up there and challenged it. No. Instead, what's it getting beat by? Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right? All those things. Now, Modern Warfare also beat Last of Us 2, but Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto, those are, significantly down the list, followed by all of these new releases, right? The one standalone being Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So when you look at this and you think about that, in the second month, we talk about the legs that Ghost of Tsushima was going to have because of the word of mouth. The fact that they didn't ship as many copies as they should have for Ghost of Tsushima. That's why it was sold out everywhere. It is performing incredibly well. And why? Well, we know the answer, because this is a game that was made by people who want to give their consumers a great game with no politics. They want to make it fun. They want a combat system that's fun. They want a story that's intriguing and enraptures you and makes you want to live in that world. But what they don't want is to piss off their fans, divide their fans, like we had with The Last of Us Part 2. Now, speaking of The Last of Us Part 2, nowhere to be found on this, right? Nowhere to be found for PlayStation 4 games. Only 2 months after its release, when you're looking at the top 20. I mean, this is getting beat by Tom Clancy's Rainbow Siege 6, Mortal Kombat 11, Batman Arkham Knight. Batman Arkham Knight is beating this game. Last of Us Part 2, the game of a generation, right? The masterpiece. You guys are all telling me it's going to continue to sell well. It's going to be the best-selling game on PS4. That's what all the losers in the comments keep telling me, right? This game isn't in the top 20? Are you kidding me right now? Not either there or in Europe. And it's doing even worse in Europe, to be quite honest with you. How is that possible, right? How is that possible? You look at what it did over in Europe. It fell all the way down to 10th in Europe in its second month, while Ghost of Tsushima hangs on to that 4th spot. Again, still beating out, or right with these games like Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto, which solidly trounced The Last of Us Part 2 after the first couple weeks of its release. This means something. This means something when you're talking about the long-time sales numbers for these games. Ghost of Tsushima continues to ride this out, continues to get good press, continues to sell well. This Legends that's coming this fall, that's going to be even more incredible when we get that multiplayer that Sucker Punch surprised everyone with. Where Last of Us Part 2, we have no idea when the multiplayer is coming out for that. No one has any idea, and honestly, I don't know a whole lot of people that are going to be excited for that when it does come out. It's not going to generate the same kind of buzz that Ghost of Tsushima is doing right now. And what do you have? You have a studio in Naughty Dog who, instead of making their fans happy, instead of giving them a game that they wanted to give you something that was filled with identity politics and filled with shocking moments, like killing Joel the way they did. I don't think there's many people that thought Joel was necessarily going to survive that game. But the way that they did it was for shock value. That is why they did it, and they did not execute the story the way people wanted. That's why these numbers are the way that they are. Let's be real. This has not shifted. It has stayed at 5.6 for fucking weeks at this point. And you look at Ghost of Tsushima, right? Clearly beloved by fans. Clearly beloved by fans. And the critics are still very mad on this game because it didn't give them what they wanted, right? They didn't have the identity politics that they require. We still to this day have people writing reviews talking about how it didn't do justice to the Japanese culture. Even though Ghost of Tsushima is still killing it in Japan. Ring Fit Adventures beats Marvel's Avengers to number 1. Pretty crazy that Marvel's Avengers just released, sold less than Ring Fit Adventures, which has been out for forever. But you look at Ghost, still sitting at number 6, still managing to sell 10,000 copies in Japan. An insane number. It's almost at 400,000 copies in Japan. Far and away destroying what Last of Us Part 2 did there. The Japanese people did not want Last of Us Part 2, but the audiences and critics alike in Japan love this game. But yeah, more white people should really get offended about the way the Japanese culture was depicted. Make sure you get offended for all the Japanese people. I'm sure they appreciate it. Bottom line, Ghost of Tsushima continues to have legs, is outperforming these other games, Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, that have been out for a long ass time that Last of Us Part 2 could not fend off. Ghost of Tsushima, listen, I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. But this is what I'm saying to everyone right now. This is what I will continue to say. I think that when we look at this a year from now, Ghost of Tsushima will have sold more copies than The Last of Us Part 2. I don't want to hear about all this shipping bullshit. I don't want to hear about copy shipped. I want to hear about copies sold. So when it all comes out, when finally all these years later we do get that number, that's what I want. That is what I think will happen. Ghost of Tsushima will surpass it because of the goodwill. And the simple fact that we still have, look at, this is Poland yesterday. This is a Last of Us 2 like promotional box that was sent when the game released on the 19th of June. It's still full. You still have these limited edition, all these collector's editions people said were sold out. I see them at GameStop every time I go in there. They're not sold out. They've just simply been shipped to stores and are sitting on the shelves. And of course, I always want to highlight a couple of these from around the world. This one is from Poland, right? Poland. And then, of course, we've got a Best Buy right here in America that has 37 copies sitting on the shelves. Who knows what they have in the back? I always want to give you guys that view because I know you like seeing those copies rotting on the shelves. Bottom line, Ghost of Tsushima continues to sell well, while The Last of Us 2 has failed to do that same thing. All of these benchmarks over time, Ghost of Tsushima is catching up, and I cannot wait for that day where we can show everyone that this game from Sucker Punch that was not promoted as highly as The Last of Us 2, that did not have the backing of that great original game to go off the back of, Ghost of Tsushima will outperform Last of Us 2. Mark my words. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Make sure you smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.